We're here with Dr. NahShon Nicks, who's the leader and founder of the First Coast Leadership Foundation. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
So tell us about the First Coast Leadership Foundation and the work that you're doing in the community. Why is it important to have this organization available in the community?
All right, great question. Sometimes we're considered one of Jacksonville's best kept secret, especially when people come in to actually take a tour of our facility. The First Coast Leadership Foundation's model follows the corporate model, which is in Tacoma, Washington. We're one of 43 cities, 13 countries around the world. The First Coast is after Jacksonville, also known as the First Coast. For example, in Dallas, you have the Dallas Leadership Foundation. The first one was founded in Pittsburgh over 40 years ago.
Okay.
And we're a nonprofit that has a mission to simply shift our city streets from battlegrounds to playgrounds.
Great.
And how do we do that? Our corporate model is the wheel of change, which is basically engaging leaders of goodwill and good faith like yourself, developing joint initiatives. How can we work together? And then building the capacity of others. How can we do what we're doing a greater way, or have a way to scale it up to have a greater impact? And I really believe that we've already helped change the lives of over 30 youth. Over the summer, we raised close to $15,000 to put 26 youth through STEAM, which is science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics. In addition to that, we also had 30 youth that we put through SEAL Team, which is social, emotional, and academic learning through martial arts. So I believe we're doing a great work. We've also helped register over 100,000 people within the state of Florida to, practice their civic duties of registering to vote, knowing where their voting precincts are located, community advocacy, and most recently, developing joint initiatives for a healthy punch, which is prevention under nutritional clinical health by spreading awareness about the COVID vaccine. Because we want to make sure that folks are vaccinated, they're safe, they're secure, and their families are secure as well.
Okay, so talk about the kids, right? So where did you see the need, and what are you seeing that created the need for you to do the work that you're doing? What types of neighborhoods are you working in, and why are you working in those neighborhoods?
Yes. When we look at socioeconomic status, we typically work in the urban sectors. Within the urban sectors, no matter what research or data you use pertaining to America, it's typically talking about black and brown communities. When we look at urban, we also hear the term at risk and disadvantage. You kind of hear a lot of condescending terms that go with urban. But if you could think of second grader Tashawn Bossman Gallen, Mr. Griggs, I went to his funeral. He was shot and killed in his grandmother's front yard. His teacher said, for somebody with a nickname Bossman, you would think he was hard, but he really just wanted to blow bubbles. Mm-hmm. And the teacher asked him why. He said, because I love to see the colors from the sun reflect through the bubbles. And I want our city streets to be so safe that our children can go out and blow bubbles. Mm-hmm. I want them safe in the streets. I want them safe in their communities. I want them safe in their schools. And it's not just my mission, it's our mission.
So where's the disconnect? I mean, where are we losing these children? I mean, you're out there on the front line, you see where the rubber meets the road. Where's the disconnect? Is it family? Is it education? Is it surroundings or environment? What's going on? And because we get perceptions, mm-hmm. right? We hear the stereotypes about how bad these children are, but I don't believe children are born bad. So where's the disconnect?
And I'm glad you asked that question. We had an opportunity to survey 100 youth within the urban core. Now, these may not be the needs of the entire city of Jacksonville and other urban communities, but specifically in the urban core with these youth, they said their number one concern was death and dying. Their number two concern was making money. Now, the children that we surveyed were 12 to 17. Their third concern was police interactions. When we surveyed their feelings, a lot of them said that I'm just depressed, meaning that COVID highlighted social distancing, but it also unveiled social dysfunction. In order for any community to thrive, you got to have self-determination. And I like to define it by the 3 C's. Number 1 is confidence. Number 2 is competence. And number 3 can be used for companionship or community, meaning that even if you may have a learning disability or you may not be the best and the brightest, but if you have some confidence, and you got some confidence, meaning that this is something I can do. This is something I can do to feed my family. But not only that, this is where I belong, you know, and that's that community. And I really believe that those are things that aren't always taught in school, but if we focus on those underlying issues that can help foster and develop self-determination. And not only that, we're very assumptive even when it comes to the parents. The parents are dealing with the same challenges as the youth. So with the First Coast Leadership Foundation, we have a 2-prong approach or wraparound services, meaning that we want to be able to intervene for that youth, but also stand in the gap for that parent, which also makes it easier for that teacher to be able to communicate with the parent, easier for that teacher to communicate with the child. And it's shared accountability, you know, because you have a community that's counting on you.
So are we asking our children to work through these traumatic experiences? Are we putting these expectations upon them to work through these traumatic experiences that come with living in these environments? You know, when I was growing up, my circle was my peers in my neighborhood, right? And that hasn't really changed. So we're counting on our kids to sort of build their own support mechanisms, and then when they lean on people from their communities or their environment that they're living in, we create expectations that they should be able to survive all of that if it's negative. Are we doing too much of that, or how are we going to interrupt that process where kids just don't have the resources, or they're not being brought up in an environment where they're being supported in the way that they should be?
And I feel exactly what you're saying, because my personal philosophy is that people can only perform to the level that they've been prepared. And with technology, we kind of depend on technology to do everything. My uncle is a truck driver. He says that a child spells love, T-I-M-E. That's how they spell love. How much time are you putting in? And basically, where there is no reinvestment, there could be no revitalization. Obviously, when we say economically strained, there's resources that may be more accessible pertaining to amenities and support services and counseling and things like that certain urban communities don't have access to. And then when they do make them accessible, per se, then there's a distance. Jacksonville is unique because, like I said, if your service provider is on the south side and you live on the north side, then that's kind of like a service that's of no effect. And then when you look at all the other compound issues, from dietary to discipline to, I mean, it's not a silver bullet per se, but I believe that if we can put quality over quantity, we will see a huge turnaround in our city.
So should there be an expectation for the entire community to look upon areas that are suffering or don't have the type of equity that we would expect, that we're looking for? Should we have an expectation for the entire community to bear the burden of that, or should that come from within? Should that come from within our own community?
It's both. It's inside outside, and then it's outside inside. You got to be able.
How does that look inside?
Inside is indigenous. Like I said, there's no way. For example, I come from a Christian faith, and if I did not agree with a pastor, I cannot disrespect that pastor in front of that congregation, even if I disagree, because to somebody, he or she is a leader. I have to find ways to put my pride and my ego aside to see how can we work together. And with the First Coast Leadership Foundation, our objective is not to stroke our personal ego. Our objective is to collaborate for the common good of that community. And I believe that those are some uncomfortable conversations, because we got to take away those hidden agendas, right? We got to put the ego aside. and let's sit down and see what is the common good, what does this look like, what does our future look like if we let things keep going in the way that it's going now, versus how can we work together to make this happen or a reality.
What projects are you working on right now? What's the big project you're working on right now that's going to change the community and the community should know about it?
All right. Well, number one, we need to make sure everybody gets vaccinated. With the black community specifically, I've been watching Tuskegee experiments, and there's been a lot of reservation. However, when we look at the black community with our Healthy Punch, we've done our research. We're looking at diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol, stroke, asthma. If we don't have something inside of our bodies to help prevent COVID from taking over our bodies, we're going to be non-existent. So health is number one, which is Healthy Punch, prevention under nutritional clinical health. Then number two is mentoring. I believe everything builds on our youth, and what are we doing for the future? We need volunteers, we need mentors, we need people who are willing to be boots on the ground with us. And then number three is community advocacy, because we're always pushing for civic engagement. That way the resources and the taxpayer dollars are equally distributed to the communities that they come out of.
Dr. NahShon Nicks, First Coast Leadership Foundation, thanks for being here with us, and we appreciate your time.
And thank you for having me.
Thank you.